I found that the education here is leaps and bounds ahead of how it is in the UK.
Hello everyone, it's Iveoma, your guide to Africa, and today I am sitting here chatting with Tola.
Hi.
About her move back story from the UK to Lagos, Nigeria. All of this is coming up. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment below, share. Those are excellent ways to support my channel. Thank you. One of the reasons I wanted to speak to Tola today is because she is one of the few people who moved back as a single mom.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk about that journey, like you raising your child here and moving back from the UK. What made you do that decision? Because I think your daughter was 2 years old.
Yes, she was 2 at the time.
Uh-huh.
Being a mother in the UK is not easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a mother that works. So I have a lot of friends in the UK as well that are also mothers, but maybe they're a stay-at-home mom, or maybe they have like a business. But for me, I've always been like a career woman, right? So it was very difficult for me to be able to achieve my career goals and be a mother at the same time, because there's no extra help in the UK. I mean, there can be, but it's not free, right?
It's very expensive.
Or it's very expensive, exactly. So at the time, my parents were both back here in Nigeria. So I just thought, why am I struggling in the UK when I can come to Nigeria, I can still achieve my career goals, but then it's easier for me to be a mother because there's help here. So it was really about the help that was here that made me move back.
I think also, Nigeria is a country that actually respects families.
Yes, yeah.
That's a big difference. And they want you to be with your family. And they think that's actually important.
Yeah.
Versus I think the UK and the US are places where they're like, okay, you have a kid and?
Yeah, basically, because I mean, in Nigeria, I think things are a bit different. First of all, there are not many single mothers.
Yes.
So you have a lot more of that family unit, a husband, a wife, and a child. Whereas in the UK and in the US, so many single mothers, single fathers, it's kind of commonplace over there. But so I think in a way, like you said, everyone just kind of leaves you to your own devices. Like, okay, you'll be fine. Like, you're not the first, you're not the last. Manage yourself type of thing. Whereas here, my family were very like, no, like, why are you suffering over there when we're all here and we're ready to welcome you and your child with open arms? So like, come back. So I think for me, it was really the family element and also being able to achieve my career ambitions that made me want to move back here.
So wait, let's talk about, were you born in the UK or where were you born?
Yeah, so I was born in the UK, lived in the UK my whole life. I mean, I'd come here for holidays. Yeah. I think the most amount of time that I spent in Lagos was maybe 6 weeks at a time, but that was just like fun, turn up. For me, it was even quite shocking that I was at a place in my life when I was even considering moving back.
You were probably really stressed out.
Yeah, I was. So I think, like I said, it just wasn't easy. It's not cheap, especially over there. So at the time, my daughter was in nursery. Well, she had a childminder, so nursery was a lot more expensive. A childminder at the time, I was paying like £250 a week.
So wait, what's a childminder for my...
So yes, to explain. So in the UK, you can have like a formal nursery school, which is like for children under the age of 3. They go there maybe from like 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and there's like a lot of other children there. But then you can also have like registered caregivers that are called childminders. So they have to register with like there's like an agency in the UK called Ofsted, which is basically like they kind of regulate all education throughout, from like nursery all the way up until secondary school in the UK. So you have these people that they have to be trained in childcare, they have to have their first aid training, and they have all of that. But basically it's in their house. So the childminder that I had, she had, I think it was just 4 children. And the reason that worked for me is because my daughter at that age was very clingy. So she didn't like other people. She didn't like to be away from me. But I was like, girl, I need to go back to work. So, and also with a childminder, they're a bit more flexible with hours. So with a nursery,
rigid.
If you don't pick up your child at 5 p.m, okay, you pay a fine. If that happens 3 times, they're out. But with a childminder, they're a bit more understanding, and the hours were longer anyway. So she was able to do 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. if I wanted to. For me, that childminder environment,
godsend.
Yeah, it was. But like I said, it wasn't cheap. So £250 a week. And I was thinking,
oh my gosh, that's a lot.
A week. And I was like, so what are you? And at the time, she was still very young. So she wasn't even doing anything. She's playing with sand. She's singing songs. And I was just thinking, am I really spending all this money for her to be like, she's not doing anything like, nothing that deep. So I just thought, this is crazy. This amount of money doesn't make sense. And my parents were like, you're getting too stressed out. It doesn't make sense.
Come back home.
Come back home. We're here. We can help you. Make the move and come back. So I did.
What year did you move back?
December 2016. So she just turned 2 in October. So we were planning to come back anyway for like a family wedding. My brother was getting married here. So I kind of just used that opportunity to just come back. I had already put all my things in storage. So I said, you know what? Let me just do it now. Might as well come back. And I think for me, like I said, because my family were here, I knew I would have that kind of soft landing. In the sense that I didn't have to think about, okay, where will I live here? What will I drive here? Everything was already waiting for me, type of thing.
Did you look for a job after some time of being here, or did you find it?
So like I said, I just kind of came back with no real plans. And then I think, so in the UK, I'd always worked in like retail back end. I was at another company, like a distribution company, and I actually had to leave there. So I was kind of in between jobs at the time. So I said, okay, this is a great time to come to Nigeria. But when I came, so I started applying for jobs like the usual way. And then my dad reached out to one of his friends and was like, oh, my daughter's back. She worked in Tesco head office for like 4 years. I was like, okay, I want to see her. She should come to my office. And then he was like, okay, I want you to work for me. It's like, I don't really have a role for you, but I'm going to create a role. And that was it.
Honestly, really. This sounds like a dream.
Yeah, it kind of was, but it kind of isn't. Because at the same time, when you've lived in the UK and you're used to earning a certain amount, and then you come here and some of the offers you're getting. So even before that job, like I said, I'd been interviewing. So I'd met this other lady, and I was really impressed by her because she was on Forbes 30 Under 30. And she like was married into like a really prestigious family. So I was like, okay, it would be cool to work with her. What did she have at the time? I think it was like an online clothing store, and she had aspirations to be like the ASOS of Africa. And I said, okay, that's really cool. But then when I went through the interview process, she was like, I want you to be my right-hand woman, like come with me to South Africa, come with me to here and there.
Okay.
I was like, okay, lit. Salary, 50k. I was like, sorry. And I was like, you know what? I'll get back to you. So I told my dad, and I was like, what? Like, I don't understand. He was like, yeah. He was like, that's too low. But he's like, to be honest, you might get a few low offers. So I think that was the hardest adjustment point at that time. Like,
what was the pay cut you took?
So
like 50?
Like more than 50%.
Okay, because I always like to ask that question just so people are like reasonable. You know, when you come back, and most people want to come back to create businesses, but the some who want to come back with jobs, they're going to be taking at least a 50% pay cut. At least.
Mine was more actually, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, more.
Yeah. Okay. And then of course, because I hadn't done NYSC, so that's another thing. So I even had to go through that whole process, but I did do it.
Can you explain NYSC and like why?
Right, so basically, for everyone who is a graduate, so you've been to university, you have to do NYSC in Nigeria if you want to work for a corporate company, or if you want to go into politics. So you have to do, it's like a compulsory year that everyone has to do. Basically, you can get posted to any state in Nigeria, and it's basically like a year for you to learn and work and serve your country, essentially. So at the beginning of NYSC, you're supposed to go to camp for like 3 weeks. You see a lot of pregnant mothers there. You see mothers with young children. Yes, you see a lot of pregnant women there.
Really?
You see nursing mothers. Yeah, it's normal.
Wow.
Yeah. It's completely normal. So even for some people, let's say you're married and your husband's in Lagos, but they've posted you to, I don't know, Gombe or somewhere. That's one of the reasons that you can say, oh, you know, I have a husband in Lagos, so can I switch to Lagos?
So that they bring their children and babies.
Yes,
and be like,
exactly. Like, this is my child, I'm a nursing mother, so it's part of the process.
That's a tip.
Yeah.
When you moved back as a single mom, did you think there was like going to be a stigma against you? Because so many people here have husbands.
Yes. Okay. Exactly. I did. So I think because my family were just so accepting, exactly, and they just kind of reassured me, because I think we're able to talk very openly in my family. So especially with one of my aunties, like I talked to her about that, and she was like, look, listen, there are a lot of women who are also single mothers. Maybe it might not be in the same circumstances, maybe, I don't know, they're a widow or they're divorced, but you're not the only one. And even you've had a child out of wedlock type of thing, it happens. Come over, and you'll be fine. It's not something that people will really judge you about. Yeah, I was a bit wary about how people would kind of react to it.
Have you had negative reactions though?
No,
right?
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
I think
so.
Yeah, people are always surprised. So I mean, I don't, because my daughter's quite 5 now, so she lives her own life. She has her own social life.
How do you say your 5-year-old?
Like, no, her life is more lit than mine. She, like, at the moment, she's having a great time with like family friends. So I'm not always with her.
Yeah.
So when people, and even like, let's say in the workplace, I don't always talk about family anyway. So a lot of people might not know that I have a child unless something comes up and I'm like, oh, my daughter's 6, I can't come to the office today. And then people be like, oh, you're a mother? Like, they're surprised.
But other than that,
no.
that's
no
actually
negative.
awesome, because I feel like that. I think that your experience makes sense.
Yes, yeah.
So would you do it again, your relocation with your child? Would you do it earlier, or would you do it?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because you moved when she was 2. I mean, 2 is still a baby. But
yes.
Like 2 years is a long time to suffer in the UK.
Right.
Right. Would you have moved back earlier? Or
so interestingly, so when I was still pregnant, like my mum had said from then, come to Nigeria, because she knew she was planning to move back.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'll be fine. Because like I said, so many other people have children in the UK. Yeah. So I just thought, well, if they can do it, why can't I? But then I guess the difference is their families are there. And my mum had relocated here. So not having like my own immediate family in the UK, I guess that's what made it more difficult. Now, I'll definitely do it again. I think even, especially for my daughter, at this age, she is better off here. I noticed that she was a lot happier here as well when we first moved back.
Oh, really? As soon as she got back?
Yeah, I mean, the weather is nice. She's with her grandparents regularly. She's with family all the time. Yeah, she loves the food. What is there not to like? You know, so I think for her, I definitely noticed like a change in her behavior. When you're co-parenting, of course, you have to manage the whole 2 households type of thing. And at that young age, it was very difficult for her because she didn't understand. Some days she's with mummy, some days she's with daddy, and it was difficult for her to like...
It's confusing.
Exactly. I think that was having a toll on her, like being in different places. So I think once she came here, a regular setup of, okay, you're living in one house, you have a nursery here, I think she was a lot happier.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Okay, so like, what is your advice to other people who are moving back with children, single or not? Like,
yeah, I would say that definitely, for me, I found that the education here is leaps and bounds ahead of how it is in the UK.
Wow, so, really?
Yeah.
So many people are so scared. Like, the reason I decided to chat with you is because so many people have sent me messages like, can you speak to parents? Can you speak to like anybody with a kid? Like, so they can tell, so they can talk about the system here.
No.
And I was like looking.
Listen, I was actually shocked because, like I said, in the UK at age 2, she was playing with sand and like singing songs. But then, when she came here, like even though it was still a nursery, there was structure. She used to get homework on the weekends. They had like a set syllabus that they used to follow, and I feel like she really developed a lot quicker and learned a lot of things that she wouldn't have learned there.
Really? Yeah, I actually think the schooling system here is better too.
In the beginning.
So like in the beginning.
Yes,
not as you. So okay, as we speak about that, do you want to keep her in keep her in school here? Because now you're starting to think of the future.
Yes.
Because when she was a baby, of course parents think of the future, but now, I mean, she's a big girl.
Right. Exactly. For me, and I've had this discussion quite a lot, especially with like my family. I think in terms of primary education, I definitely think Nigeria is better. Even secondary education can be quite good as well. But for me, definitely university, there's no way I would allow her to go to university in Nigeria. And it's not to say that schools here are bad, but I just think I'd be doing my child a disservice to say that, well, I was schooled abroad and you don't get to have that experience. And it's not necessarily that the education quality is better in the UK, but it's just the way they teach you is very different. Like
here, I heard it's memorization.
Exactly. Whereas in the UK, you have more opportunity to learn different things in different ways. You're a lot more independent.
Yeah, that's how the US is too.
Exactly. And so you get the opportunity to network with different people And if you like, don't learn. It's your own business.
Yeah.
Whereas in Nigeria, no, it's like by force. You cram, especially a lot of the better schools here are like private schools. There's a lot of rules and regulations around some of the better schools. And even the education here, I guess for university, it's like, I think it's at least 4 years. Whereas in the UK, for most courses, it's only 3 years. But
are you serious?
Yeah, only 3 years.
Oh, US is 4 years too.
Oh, wow.
So you think all the way up to university, it's okay for her to be schooled here, and then university, she's going to look abroad.
For the UK, as a university student, of course, you can either be a home student or a foreign student. To be able to qualify as a home student, you have to have been in the UK for 4 years before university starts. Otherwise, you'll pay foreign student fees, which are a lot more.
Are you serious?
A lot more.
But your baby was born there.
It doesn't matter.
Really?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a UK citizen. You have to have been there for 4 years.
Prior.
Yeah, like
so you're thinking
solid
about
4 years. Yeah, so for me, like from, I guess what you'd call year 9 or 9th grade is when she'll probably go to secondary school over there so that she can get that opportunity to pay UK school fees as like a home student. Yeah.
So is she going to go to boarding school? Are you thinking boarding school, or are you going to be? Are you just going to relocate with her?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of far away.
It's still quite far away.
Yeah,
but
it's a good 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, yeah, like 10 years thereabouts.
Yeah.
So for like a lot of my cousins that went down that route, they were in boarding school. But of course, boarding school's not cheap. We'll have to see how it goes. My plan is for her to like do so in the UK, like in year 10 and 11, which is the final 2 years of secondary school or high school. You do like exams called GCSEs, and then you need to do that in order to do your A levels, and then you go into university. So I would want her to be there to do it there. I mean, a lot of schools here and a lot of the better schools here, you do something called IGCSE, which is like the international version of that.
Okay.
But I think for me, I'd rather that she's there and she gets like accustomed to being in the UK again, and then university.
So it's not a shock when she goes to university.
Yes. But then, I mean, at the same time, I'm making all these plans and she might decide she doesn't want to go to university. So I can't push my ideas on her.
Yeah.
But I just kind of have to prepare.
Yeah, you have to prepare for the future. That's what good parents do.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's actually talk about the help that you have here.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
What kind of help would people expect when they bring back children here?
Okay, so the best thing is you can have a nanny.
Yeah.
Right? And a nanny, like labor in Nigeria for the most part is
really inexpensive.
Really inexpensive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're paying like less than 50,000 on their salary a month.
Mm-hmm. Does she live with you?
Yeah, so she does. So she lives with us. Well, she lives with us, let's say Sunday to Saturday, and then she has like 24 hours where she goes home, she gets to go to church, rest, and then come back. But there are pros and cons, of course, to having a nanny, because it's like you don't know this person.
Yeah, how did you find her?
So luckily for me, she was already working in my house, so in my parents' house.
Okay.
As just like a general house girl. But even aside from that, she's been in my family for like 15 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So like she raised my younger cousins.
She's a family member.
Basically, pretty much. So we just kind of decided, okay, let's take her because we trust her. And at the time, I was actually going to look at, so there's a lot of agencies that you have here.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So I was looking at some of those.
Nanny agencies.
Yeah. And I was just like, okay, this is quite overwhelming because you have to pay like a big deposit and then you try different nannies, and for each one you need to do a medical test just to make sure that they don't have any.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, let's talk about that medical test. Because one of my aunties, I went to her house and she's like, oh, I have to get her tested. I said, test? Yeah. You have to get who tested?
No, you do.
Why do you have to get her tested?
I mean, they're going to be with your child all day, so you need to make sure that they don't have any serious issues.
So this is common, because I thought my auntie was actually just being over the top.
It's not even common. It's like mandatory. Like everyone does it. Yeah, no. You have to. So especially when you have all these agencies, it's a must for them.
Okay, so now when you go to a nanny agency, you pay this deposit. Yeah. You say it's big. It's not big, but it's annoying.
Yeah. It's like what their salary would be for the month plus a little bit extra, maybe.
Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense. So you pay this deposit. You then get different women who come to your house and you meet and you see if you like their personality first. You interview them. Yeah. And then after the interview, you give them a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
And blood work.
Full medical checkup.
Yeah, because I thought my auntie was being over the top, but you're saying this is actually normal.
Yeah, it's common practice. Full medical checkup. So, even if you go to like certain private hospitals or clinics, they will already have like a package, like domestic help
Wow.
Medical check. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So for me, I, like you said, I just thought, this is a bit much. I don't know if I want to go through this whole process and
Over
then
the top.
even the whole trial and error of trying a person and you might not like them. But like I said, because this lady was already in my house and my daughter had already taken a liking to her. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's just transition you from being a nanny. She'd done nanny work before. I'd seen her as a nanny previously, so it was easy for me in that regard. But for a lot of people, they do have to go through the whole...
Yeah, it's a big
agency.
process.
Yeah, it is. And then you get the whole issue, especially around Christmas time, once they go back to their village, because a lot of them are probably not from Lagos and they might never come back. So that's another issue that happens with a lot of people. But so having a nanny, so that meant that, you know, whichever job I have, I can work late hours and I don't have to think about, I need to go and pick up my daughter from here or there. Because
it's a big deal.
Exactly. She has the nanny. So even with her school, I had a school bus, so I'll pick her up in the morning.
I see the little school buses.
Exactly. Yeah. So picks her up in the morning and then there's like an assistant on the bus, like a nanny basically on the bus. So that would pick her up in the morning and drop her off after school. So I didn't have to think about that the school run, you know, okay, I have to pick up my child and drop them off. So again, that was very easy. And then I would know that, okay, once she finishes school, so I guess school finishes at like around 2 p.m. She'll come home, the nanny's there, we have a schedule, she knows what time she's supposed to have her snack, what time she's supposed to do her homework and all that type of stuff. And then of course parents are here, as well as, especially in those early days when she was still like acclimatizing to the nanny, my mum was always at home. My mum's retired, so she was able to like intervene really and give that help. So for me,
got a lot of help,
yeah.
And it's much better mentally.
Yes,
I really do think the way that the society in the West has turned, it's not normal.
Yeah,
like you're really not supposed to raise a child just by yourself.
Right, exactly.
This is just a new time. Like,
exactly.
It hasn't been done anywhere, I think, in any country before just like the 50s or something.
Exactly. So I think here, for me, it was that whole, you know, that whole phrase they say, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
It was literally that whole type of like village environment because all my family is around, aunts, uncles, cousins. But the main thing is that my parents were here and I moved back into my parents' house. It was, It
was a godsend.
It was, It really was, One thing, of course, that you have to bear in mind, and this, I guess, it depends on the age of your child. So a difference between the UK and here is that, yes, I was paying, like, you know, a childminder, but I think in the UK, after the age of 4, education is free until university, right? Whereas here,
you have to pay.
No. That's not true. There is free education. There are government federal schools, but of course they're not the best type of schools. They don't have the best, you know, equipment or anything like that. So definitely you need to look around for good private schools that are within your budget, because
I heard private schools here are really expensive.
It can range from, you know, so for example, at the moment my daughter's preparing to go to primary school, or elementary school as you call it in the US. So there are some schools that are like, okay, 300K for the term, right? So the term is like, how long is the term? Maybe 3 months?
Oh.
3, yeah. So like 3 months. So you have 3 terms in a year.
Wait. A term here is 3 months?
Yeah, thereabouts. So it's like September, so it's the first term is September to December. Then you have your Christmas break. Then you have January until whenever Easter is. And then after Easter until like the end of summer, which is like June.
300K in Naira.
Yes.
Don't worry, I'm going to put the dollar equivalent on screen.
Yeah. Her nursery actually was a bit less than that, like 220 for the term. But like I said, as I'm looking at primary schools, of course, primary school will be more expensive than a nursery.
Yeah, of course.
So it ranges. So I've looked at some that are like, okay, 300 to 500,000 a term. Whereas there are some that are like 1 million Naira a term. And there are some that are more than that. Right? I know of some schools that
would make me so sad.
Yeah, right?
1 million Naira a term.
There are some schools that you can't pay in Naira. You pay in euros or you pay in dollars. Yeah. So there's levels to everything.
There's levels.
So just look for the school that is good.
That's on your level.
And that's on your level.
How did you choose a good school though?
Right. So again, I think for me, I'm very lucky because a lot of my family own schools. So
Girl, your food backstory is not like anybody else's.
Exactly. So I think that's why for me it's been quite easy because I have, and my family is huge as well.
Yeah.
So that also helps. So I think even though, so one of my aunts owns like quite a big school in Lekki called Meadowhall School, right? So my dad was like, okay, talk to her and she will advise you on what schools to look at in the area that you live in. So she suggested, oh, try this nursery, try that nursery. So we looked at a few, and then it turns out that the one that we ended up going to is owned by my family member. But I didn't know, and I'd never met her before. She was like, wait, your address? She was like, somebody used to live there. I was like, yeah, that's my grandma. She was like, Auntie Yem Yem, that's my auntie. And I was like, what? What a small world. That doesn't mean there's family discount though. But at least ain't no family discount. But at least
you're guaranteed the quality.
Yes, exactly. At least I know, okay, she has done training in the UK. She's trying to follow the whole Montessori system still. They try to, especially a lot of the better primary schools, they'll try and match the British syllabus. So for me, that was like a reassurance because I know that eventually she's going to go back to the UK. So I still kind of want her to follow a similar learning pattern. So that was how we found the school. So we recommended quite a few, and then we tried them out. You go and visit them, you look at them,
talk to the principal, which is your family member.
Exactly. Yes.
And you talk to the teachers.
Yeah. So you talk to the teachers, you can look around the classroom, and that type of thing. And so even though the nursery that we chose when we first moved back was a lot smaller than some of the other ones, the vibe just seemed, I thought, okay, this will be easy for her to transition into. And it took some time, and when she first came, she still had a British accent. So they would call her Oyinbo, Oyinbo. And she doesn't really understand, so, but over time, she completely lost her accent. And she's become she's a Lagos babe. She's a small Lagos babe. I think you definitely need to do your research, ask around. A lot of the schools, they have the information on Google, so you can Google how much are school fees.
Yeah,
or if not, send them an email and just find out, okay, what is the even like the entrance process. So especially when you're going into secondary school and primary school, you have to do some sort of examination. So you need to just know what that is. Most schools, you have to pay for the registration form. It's never much. It's maybe like 10 to 15,000. If you're not sure of what school you're going to and you're collecting registration forms from all these schools,
it can get expensive.
Exactly. So you just kind of need to do as much research as you can initially. Find out the information from the schools. What's their school hours? Do they have a school bus? What type of extracurricular activities do they do?
Yeah, what kind of activities did your daughter do?
So at her current school, they recently started doing like coding and all that type of stuff.
At 5?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
That sounds like coding
but
at
it's
5.
It's very basic. So it's
that's still cool though.
Yeah, exactly. Even during school holidays, because they're quite long here, so she'll get like a month off at a time. But there would be like a summer school or somewhere that she would go to as well, where they'll do the similar sort of thing, like robotics and science, experiments and things like that.
It's actually pretty cool.
It really is.
That's really cool.
And it shocks me because I think I just always had that whole thing of Nigeria. How will education be in Nigeria?
Yeah.
Especially when you watch like Nollywood and you see like all those like old school classrooms with like the blackboard and like wooden tables. Exactly, with the wooden tables. Right, and they're writing with like chalk. That's what I thought it was going to be like.
Movies.
Exactly, that's what I thought it was going to be like. And I think for me, I was very ignorant, let's be honest. I didn't know what things would be like. So when I got here and I saw some of the schools and I was like, this is really no different to a school in the UK. That really gave me like the assurance that, okay, no, she'll be good here. And then of course I have family here that have gone through education here as well.
True.
And then you see that, in fact, they are better than I was, like better educated than I was. And like I said, having that foundation here, I think it gives you a better work ethic, because like you said, yes, it is a lot about cramming, but it kind of gives you that good work ethic so that when you do maybe go to abroad to do your university or whatever, you've already got that mentality of like how to work and how important it is. So yeah, research is what I suggest for people.
Yeah, and it seems like the children develop a really good work ethic.
Yes,
that's true. Like, this really do work really hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other comments that you want to just say?
Yeah, so I think I would say for anyone that's planning to relocate with children, like I said, another thing that I didn't touch on actually is healthcare.
Yes, let's talk about healthcare.
Yes. So I mean, before we moved, we had to do you have to do your yellow fever vaccination and all those types of things. So she had done quite a few of her core vaccines already in the UK, but here the good thing is you can get health insurance, especially if you're working for a company. Most of them will give you health insurance that will cover your spouse and your children.
Is it good health insurance though?
It depends on what job you have.
Yeah.
It depends on how high up you are in the company. It depends on how much money the company has.
Okay.
So I mean, like if you're a big manager, of course you're going to get the best level of healthcare and you can go to any hospital. Whereas for most people, you'll get to go to quite good private hospitals, but maybe not the best. But then it's up to you. If you want to spend that money and go to some of the best hospitals in your state, that's also an option as well. So in terms of like healthcare, you can, a lot of the things that you would do, where you're coming from in the UK or the US, you can still do here. So the vaccinations, they still follow the same sort of, process. Okay, by 5, you have to have the chicken pox, the rubella, all those type of things.
Yeah, the normal stuff.
Exactly. So that is still available to you here. And it's also compulsory here as long as you find a good like children's hospital to make sure that you're getting that type of care.
Were you scared to go to the hospital here with your child?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But to be honest, we haven't had to go to the hospital very often. Luckily, none of us have got sick, really.
Yeah, praise God.
But then again, I have family that own hospitals. So it's like...
Tola! What's going on here?
Or that are like medical directors at like quite big hospitals. So there's always like a connection. So I think for me, that was like the biggest reason for moving back, the family connections.
Your family is huge.
No, really.
So wait. So you guys are actually, you're really from, because your mom is Zambian and your dad is Yoruba, but your Yoruba side is from Lagos.
Yeah. They're like a real like Lagos family.
Yeah.
And so that helps. Everyone is here. There's connections here, there, and everywhere. So basically, my grandma was one of 44 children, right? Yeah, exactly. So that's why we're so big, but the family was still very close. So like my dad was very close with all his first cousins.
Absolutely.
And things like that. So we, through that, the second generation, or even I can reach out to any auntie and that can help me out,
That's so important.
So
that's awesome that you have that.
Yeah, it's a blessing. It really is.
So you weren't really that scared because you knew some of your family members owned hospitals.
Yeah.
You knew the level.
Exactly.
Can you mention just some hospitals that are really good?
Yeah. So for example, in Lagos, some of the better hospitals are like Reddington Hospital, St. Nicholas, Lagoon Hospital, which are the ones that are good. First Cardiology, like those are some of the premium hospitals,
and they have they have a children's section.
Yes, of course. But then in other areas you still have like those are like the premium hospitals, but you still have like a bit lower but are still good. So you have Avon Hospital that's quite good, you have Havana Hospital, and then also now I kind of work in healthcare. So my company is a pharmaceutical company, so I've come to know about a lot more hospitals and pharmacies and things like that.
That makes sense.
But no, healthcare can be good here, but it isn't cheap. So make sure you get healthcare insurance. If you're working and you're lucky enough to work for a company, they will cover that, like in your salary. Or if not, you can always go to like a HMO, which is, you can sign up and you pay like a monthly premium, which I don't think is too much. I think it's probably maybe like between 5 to 10K a month. And then that covers you for like a certain amount of
honestly
care.
That's not bad at all.
It's not, it really isn't. It makes sense. So you can do your dental care with that, you can do your emergency care, you can do your whatever you need to do.
So how would someone find an HMO? Just Google?
Just Google. Everything is literally on Google.
Yeah.
So you can just try a few different ones out if you don't work for a company. But for me, luckily, all the companies that I have worked for, they would always like offer that. It's a standard package. So
I'm glad you talked about health insurance. Thank you.
No, it's important.
That's really important, especially when you have a baby too.
Exactly. Yeah.
You need to stay healthy.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Do you have anything else you want to say?
I think what I would say is, if you are considering moving back to Nigeria with your child, I think it will be a good decision for your child. Motherhood,
mentally
motherhood,
too.
Exactly. Motherhood is not easy, and even if you're in like you have a husband or you have a live-in partner, let's be honest, a lot of the onus will be on the mother to do a lot of the things, right,
Yeah.
with the child. So motherhood isn't easy, but if you come to Nigeria, you at least have a lot of support. You can have your nanny, you can have a driver, you can have all those sorts of things. Education is still very good here. Healthcare is still, can be great, depends on how much you're willing to spend. I think that's just the bottom line. In Nigeria, to have a good life, everything costs. So just be prepared to spend the money, and you'll get whatever you want here, basically.
Thank you so much, Tola.
You're welcome.
I'm so glad.
I know, right?
You're so awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing this with me.
Yeah, nice.
I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this.
Benefit from this. I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.